why do I need to quantify and qualify my risk? Well, it all really comes down to our job as cybersecurity professionals are to be able to communicate to the business stakeholders, to the C-level executives, what their true risk is. That's what they rely on us for. When I teach CISSP classes and CISM classes, the very first day, kind of the very first hour, right? I set the table for the candidates at that time, kind of, explaining what it is, that we at this level need to do and need to keep in mind. And at the end of the day, we are there to provide best counsel to the senior leaders, right? To whether they be C-level executives, flag officers, vice presidents. That's what our job is to provide best counsel. And how we do that can be, depending on, of course, the size of the organization and other factors, somewhat complicated. But it really all does boil down to two simple things. When you start wanting to measure and identify risk, what you're simply looking for is uncertainty and exposure, right? So uncertainty, we need to figure out if the thing, right, whatever the risk we're trying to identify is true or false. Is it a real risk? Is it a perceived risk? Once we narrow into whether it's real or perceived, then we go to step two and determine what the organization's exposure to that risk is, as well as what is our exposure to the unknown unknowns, right? So working through kind of that mental exercise ultimately gives you what your true risk is, right? So you've probably seen this, quasi, equation, floating around the internet here and there. It's been used, for as long as I can remember, right? Vulnerability times threat times asset value times probability equals risk. And that really is all we're doing when we're qualifying and quantifying risk for ourselves. So how do we decide what we are going to use as measuring sticks? What is going to show us as an organization what our true risk is? Well, it comes down to choosing the right metric. Oftentimes, we as cybersecurity professionals have a tendency to use data because it's there. It's there, it's readily available, but we've chosen the wrong metric because it's not really telling us anything. And since it's not really telling us anything, it's not very valuable to the organization. So what we what we indicate, right, when we're looking at how to choose the correct metric, we're looking for SMART metrics. And SMART simply stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So those are the decision points or the data points that you're looking for when you're looking at which metric is going to suit me best. So we can break down into each one of those. However, it really is kind of they are as they seem. I want to choose a metric or a data point that's very specific. So how many threats were reported? How many incidents were reported in this time frame, in this specific time frame? Can I measure that? Well, obviously I can if I can measure, if I can quantify it, right? A number value of how many I dealt with. Are my metric achievable? So once I identify a baseline, how many incidents were reported? Well, what do I want to do with that? Do I want to see that number come down or go up, right? And I set the goal, right? The key goals for, okay, so this is how many we had in Q1. We want to try to increase the number of incidents reported by 10% in quarter two, right? So that is what's meant, right, by achievable. Relevant and time bound. Well, obviously relevant. Why do I care how many incidents were reported? Uh, One of the things, just as an example, that reported incidents tell you, as you know, a security manager or a cybersecurity director, is how well your incident response plan and procedures are working. If you get very few reported incidents, that generally means your users don't know how to identify an incident. So I want to see my reported incidents go up, right? Not necessarily that I want to see incidents go up. I want to see the reported incidents go up. And then time bound, you know, kind of is as it states, right? You know, you want to measure in finite time. I want to measure either in quarters, months, years, you know, so I can compare apples to apples, year to year or quarter to quarter, so I can get a true value, quantified value, a number value of whatever it is